Welcome everyone to the 1040 Judiciary Committee decision-making agenda. If we have a catastrophic failure on the Zoom side, we'll see, we've got a hearing tomorrow already.
Yes. And 10:02.
We'll go for 10:05 tomorrow if we have technical failure. Okay, this is a DM only, so we'll start with HB 472. This allows digitized identification cards to be accepted as a valid form of identification under certain circumstances, authorizes state and county law enforcement agencies to accept a digitized identification card as proof of a person's identity. The recommendation on 472. No. Okay, is to specify that it's the DOT the bill refers to. We'll take out the liability shield and we'll revise so taking out the liability shield means that it'll just be the regular liability rules that apply. Revise the exemption in subsection C to state that this section shall not apply where a physical copy of an individual's current driver's license, valid passport, or visa issued by the federal government or another country or other card of identity is required in compliance with state or federal law. We do have prior concurrence. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair Gabbard.
Chair's recommendation on HB 472 HT1 ST1 is to pass with amendments. Chair Rhodes.
Aye.
Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Chang.
Aye.
Senator San Buenaventura is excused. Senator Hawai'i.
Aye.
Measure passes.
Thank you. Next up is HB 510. This amends the conditions and manner and areas in which the Commission on Water Resource Management can declare and provide notice of water shortages and emergencies. The recommendation on this one is it does have a bad defective, it has a defective date, and we do just like to make some technical amendments. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
On HB 510 HT1 ST1, recommendation is to pass with amendments of the members present. Any no votes or reservations? Hearing none, the measure passes.
Thank you. Next up is HB 544. This establishes a regulatory framework specifically for pet insurance based on the National Association of Insurance Commissioners Pet Insurance Model Act, which I had never heard of before. It has a bad date, but recommendation is to pass as is. Questions or concerns? If not, Senator Gabbard.
Recommendation on HB 544 HT1 ST1 is to pass as is. Any no votes or reservations? Hearing none, the measure passes.
Thank you. Next up is HB 706, requires all skateboard users under the age of 16 to wear a helmet while operating a skateboard. This also has a bad date, but recommendation is to pass as is. Questions or concerns? If not, Senator Gabbard.
HB 706 HT1 ST1 is to pass as is. Any no votes or reservations? Hearing none, the measure passes.
Thank you. Next up is HB 871. This clarifies that Act 130 Session Laws of Hawaii 2024, which amended the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act, take effect on the earlier of the date of the Secretary of the Interior's notification letter that Act 130 does not require congressional approval or on the date that the United States Congress approval becomes law. Recommendation here is to go ahead and make it effective upon approval. Questions or concerns? If not, Senator Gabbard.
Recommendation on HB 871 HD1 is to pass with amendment. Any no votes or reservations? Measure passes.
Thank you. Next up is HB 995. This amends the annual reporting requirements imposed on the Department of the Attorney General and the Chief of Police of each county regarding licenses to carry firearms. Amends Section 134 9.6 on the AG's annual report on licenses to carry to basically give everybody more time to make the reports. Recommendation is to pass as is. Questions or concerns? If not, Senator Gabbard.
On HB 995, recommendation is to pass as is. Any no votes or reservations?
No.
No vote for Senator Hawai'i. The measure passes.
Thank you. Next up is HB 1002. This is relating to the Hawaii Correctional Oversight Commission. Beginning July 1st, 2025, extends the term of the oversight coordinator to 3 years, I believe it is. Authorizes the Hawaii Correctional Commission to review the coordinator's performance and make recommendations to the governor as to whether the coordinator should be retained. Recommendation here is to pass as is. Questions or concerns? If not, Senator Gabbard.
HB 1002 HD1 SD1, recommendation to pass as is. Any no votes or reservations? Hearing none, the measure passes.
Thank you. Next up is HB 1093. This clarifies the Hawaii Public Housing Authority's powers relating to housing projects. Measure decouples the word public from public housing to align with the idea of mixed income housing projects to deconcentrate poverty. The recommendation here is to pass as is. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
HB 1093 HD1 SD1 pass as is. The recommendation. Any no votes or reservations?
No.
No vote for Senator Wild. The measure passes.
Thanks. Next up is HB 1120. This clarifies the Department of Health as the legal authority and obligation to prevent and address nuisances that affect public health or environmental health or both. Recommendation here. Is to pass with just technical amendments. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Recommendation on HB 1120 HD2 SD1 is to pass with amendments. Any no votes or reservations? Hearing none, the measure passes.
Thank you. Next up is HB 1162. This requires all applicants for a motorcycle instruction permit to successfully complete a basic motorcycle rider course. Recommendation here is to pass with text and include in the committee report a suggestion to look at the CN. And so I guess I need to back up on this one. Right now, the basic motorcycle rider course has to be approved by both the Department of Transportation and Division of Motor Vehicle Registration and the Division of Motor Vehicle Registration of the Department of Customer Services of the City and County of Honolulu, even for those licenses for other counties. So recommendations to pass with text, but will include in the committee report a suggestion to look at the CNC's testimony, particularly as it regards their duty to approve motorcycle rider courses for other counties. Has a bad grade. Questions or concerns? If not, Senator Gabbard.
On HB 1162 HD2 SD1, recommendation is to pass with amendments. Any no votes or reservations?
No.
No vote for Senator Wild. The measure passes.
Thank you. Next up is HB 1259. This specifies that an engineering study is not required to be considered when reducing the maximum speed limit within 10 miles per hour of the current speed limit for that road. Requires the Department of Transportation to use National Association of City Transportation Officials guidance when seeking a maximum speed limit for a section of a highway with residential or commercial areas or schools immediately on a highway. Recommendation is to pass as is. Questions or concerns?
Yes, I have a concern.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to be voting no because of the way the language is written. It refers to 10 miles per hour of the current speed limit for that road. I'd like to point out that we are talking about state highways, and there are already sections of state highways that have been brought down to 35 miles per hour. And to further decrease it, in my section, for 24 hours, to further decrease it to another 10 miles without an engineering study has shown that in my district, people start overtaking dangerously and actually has caused more problems. So for that reason, if it were 10 miles per hour of a regular highway speed, I would have no problems with that. But saying 10 miles where they've already reduced it in certain areas, to me is super problematic. So for that reason, I'm going to be voting no.
Okay. It does have a bad date, so I don't know whether this is the last word, but we'll leave it to the subject committee chairs to sort that out. Other questions or concerns? If not, Senator Gabbard.
On HB 1259 HD1 SD1. Any no votes or reservations? Noting Senator Sam Bonaventure's no vote. Anyone else? Measure passes.
Thank you. Next up is HB 1291. This extends the offense of false labeling of Hawaiian grown coffee to include roasted coffee. Recommendation here is to pass as is. Does have a bad date. Questions or concerns? If not, Senator Gabbard.
Recommendation HB 1291 HD2 SD1 to pass as is. Any no votes or reservations? Hearing none, the measure passes.
Thank you. Next up is HB 1348. This requires the Board of Land and Natural Resources to lease public lands for recreation residence use by public lottery and restrict participation in the public lottery to residents of the county in which the land lease is located. Recommendations to pass with amendments. We do have prior concurrence. We'll accept DLNR's amendment to require a lottery within a year of vacancy. And then we'll apply the good standing renewal only after the property has been subject to lottery once. And it has a bad date, so another one where we'll leave it to the subject matter people to figure out what to do exactly. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Recommendation on HB 1348 HD2 SD1 is to pass with amendments. Any no votes or reservations? Hearing none, the measure is adopted.
Chair, real quick.
Yeah.
Request if possible to go back to the fourth item on the agenda. I had a blank on my sheet, so I couldn't tell what bill it was.
Fourth one.
Could we re-vote on that? I want to submit a no vote. They're relating to highway safety helmet.
Did
Oh,
did
this
you
is the
did you not vote?
skateboard.
No, I thought you voted no.
No, I
Or did not? Okay.
yeah, I didn't. think it was.
Okay, we'll reconsider HB 706.
Skateboard.
HB 706, this requires all skateboard users under the age of 16 to wear a helmet while operating a skateboard and has a bad date. And recommendations to pass unamended. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair for the revote.
Any no votes or reservations?
No.
No, the measure is adopted.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes our business. Thanks for being here. See you tomorrow.